A is for Allah, nothing but Allah. Ba is the beginning of Bismillah. Ta is for taqwa, bewaring of Allah. And Tha is for thawab, a reward. Ja is for Jannah, the garden of paradise. Ha is for Hajj, the blessed pilgrimage. Kha is for Khatam, the seal of the prophethood given to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa baraka ala mab'uthi rahmatan lil alameen. Nabiyyina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Amma ba'd. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And welcome to this new episode of Ask Zad, coming to you live from Zad Studios here in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Our first question for tonight is from Brother Nu'man, and this was from last program's questions or emails. He says, what is the procedure to take back a wife once a man has divorced her? Ruju' or reconcile? First of all, it is important to understand the concept of marriage and divorce. And this may take a while. So if there are people who are interested in calling, they might be put on hold for a little bit of time. Marriage in Islam is one of the easiest things that can ever happen because people frequently need it. And whenever there is a need for something, Islam makes it easier. So breathing is essential for our lives. So it is the easiest thing to do. Just inhale and you are breathing. Drinking water is very essential in our lives, but it is of a lower degree of importance. So you can find water, but not as easy as you're finding air. Now, when it comes to marriage, if a man is interested in marrying a woman and everything has been done, the due diligence and everything had been taken care of, the proceeding is as following. The guardian of the girl, with her consent, proposes to the boy. So he says, I give you my daughter, I give you my sister in marriage. The boy accepts, and he says, I accept her marriage. In the presence of two witnesses or more, the marriage is done. So marriage is verbal, and it's a commitment. Once the transaction, once the contract, once this operation has been done, she's his wife legally. They can assume their marital life as a man and his wife. Now, Islam gives the man the right to divorce, and he has 3 chances of divorce. Divorce takes place by uttering it. So the intention does not qualify. Someone says, Wallahi, I intend to divorce you, to his wife. This is not a divorce. I will divorce you. This is not a divorce. I think we have to get divorced. This is not a divorce. It has to be a statement or a verb, in the sense that I divorce you. Done. Or you are divorced. Boom. Done. Khalas. It's over. But he has 3 chances. So if he says, I divorce you, the divorce took place. 1 down, 2 to go. Yet they're still man and wife until the iddah period is over. And what is iddah? Iddah is the waiting period after the divorce. If a woman is not pregnant, her iddah period is 3 monthly cycles. If she is too old, so she is in her menopause, or she's too young to have menses, in this case, instead of 3 monthly cycles, her iddah or waiting period is 3 months. If she's pregnant, in this case, her iddah period ends the moment she gives birth. And this may be 7 months, 6, 5, 3, 4, 2, depending on her pregnancy. Now, it is prohibited for a man to divorce his wife when she is in her menses or when she is in the state of purity, yet he had intercourse with her in that state of purity. This is called talaqun bid'i, innovated divorce. Does it happen? The four schools of thought say he's sinful, but it is effective, it is valid. So if a person wants to divorce, what does he do? And this is part of the wisdom of Islam. If I want to divorce my wife, God forbid, and I'm angry at the moment, yet we had intimacy few days, few weeks ago, Islam tells me wait until she gets her menses. After she's pure from her menses, now she's in the state of purity that we had no intimacy in. Now I can divorce her. And 99.9% of all divorce cases are canceled because of this. Because in a state of fury and anger or rage, people tend to forget and forgive after a couple of hours. But if he divorced on the heat of his anger, then we would have broken the house, the marital house, the marriage, etc. The second permissible type of divorce is when a woman is pregnant. Because usually men, when they find their women pregnant and they're angry and they want to divorce, they always remember the child that is coming to this world soon, and they feel regretful to have this child born into a divorce. So they usually hesitate. But if a man says to his wife, I divorce you, or you're divorced while she's pregnant, this is 100% valid divorce. So, Sheikh, what to do? We've already divorced. I already divorced my wife. What to do now? I want to reconcile. Well, as long as she's in the state of iddah, you're still man and wife. She lives in the house. You're not allowed to take her out, kick her out to her parents' house. She is forced to stay in your house. You can look at her, she looks at you, she cooks to you, you talk like man and wife. Everything is as normal, except that there's no intimacy at all. So for these 3 monthly cycles, usually a couple of months, a little bit less, a little bit more, they're still man and wife. They see each other every single day, they sleep on the same bed or in the same room. Inevitably, things would come back to normal, inshallah. Usually they kiss and make up after a week or two, maybe a month or so. But inevitably, because they see each other, they still feel the fire going on, so they reconcile. How to reconcile? Either verbally by telling her that I have reconciled with you, or by having intimacy with the intention of getting her back. Her knowledge of revoking the divorce or reconciling is not essential. So if he divorces her today, and at night he goes to his friends or his family and say, listen, I divorced my wife tonight, but between you and me, I have reconciled with her. So I revoked my divorce. So this means that she is his wife. But maybe he does not want to tell her so that she would be reprimanded for the things that she had done, and he's utilizing this one divorce out of 3 to the benefit of the marital life, so that it would be a long-term marriage rather than a short-term marriage. This is okay, there's no problem. Does the woman have the right to reject revoking her divorce or refuse to come back? No, she has no choice in it. This is not her right. She has to come back and comply. He did this once, 1 down, 2 to go. He divorced her again, the same procedure. 2 down, 1 to go. If he utters the 3rd divorce, it's over. game is over. They immediately turn into non-mahrams, total strangers, and he cannot revoke the divorce. And in order to marry her, she has to marry a different bloke, a different man, a real marriage, lives with him, and whenever they are divorced, a real divorce, not with the intention to go back to the first guy, then they can remarry with the conditions of her consent, the consent of her guardian, a new mahar, a dowry, and 2 male witnesses or more. Now, one usually asks, what's the ruling on divorcing my wife more than once? So there are so-called, quote unquote, men, or if you call them male, that would be better because men is a higher level than a male. You get gorillas males and donkeys as males, but not men. Men is a title given that you have to earn by taking the right decision, by measuring the consequences of your actions and of your words before doing or saying any of that. So some so-called men divorce without thinking, and not once, maybe 10 or 15 or 20 times. So when he's angry with his wife, I divorce you, you're divorced, 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 and he repeats it 10 times. And after half an hour, he's still enraged, said, I divorce you another 10 times. So this is like a Kalashnikov, AK-47. So many divorces in one push of a button or a trigger. Now, all of this is an issue of dispute, whether the 3 divorces take place or not. And the most authentic opinion is if this issue was displayed to a mufti, usually the most authentic opinion is the mufti says, like the ruling of the Prophet ﷺ, only 1 divorce counts. If the case goes to a judge, it depends on the country he is in. So in some countries, like Hanafi school of thought, they would say 3 counts as 3. So it's permanent. And the guy just married last week. And they say you cannot go back together, you cannot revoke the marriage. And this is also acceptable because this is the ruling of the Muslim ruler in that country. So it's binding, you have to stick with it because this is the ruling of the country you're in. So you have to be careful before issuing this statement of divorce. You have to utilize the period of waiting period if you already divorced and want to reprimand your wife and want to remove any misconceptions or misunderstandings between you so that you don't divorce her again the following month. What's the point then of this first divorce if you did not utilize it? And a Muslim man should be careful, weigh the consequences before uttering this word, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. Husnain says, can you show or demonstrate where the male beard starts from near the ear, which part of the cheekbones includes, etc., how far in the neck it goes? Also, can we shave the mustache into a straight line? I've read a bit online, but physical demonstration would be perfect. I'm sure it will not only help me, but others too. So the director will keep the short camera on my face, inshallah, and not take a long shot. First of all, the beard in Arabic is called al-lihya. And linguistically, al-liha is the jawbone. So this lower jawbone, the one that moves, because the upper jaw does not move. This one, the lower jaw, is the one that moves. It's called liha. So the scholars say the hair that grows on this lower jaw is called lihya. And the most authentic and accepted opinion is that your jaw begins from the ear. So even the sideburns are part of your jaw. And if you open your mouth, you will find that this area, with this area here, the lower and the upper, these are called your beard. So anything that grows on your jaw, this area, and on your cheek is called the beard. What grows on your cheekbones below your eyes, this is not, so you can remove this one. But from here, this is your beard. Now, what's underneath, which is on my neck, so my face is like this is my beard, but what grows on my neck is not considered to be part of my beard. So this area on my neck, on my Adam's apple, above that, just below the chin, this is not my beard. I can shave it. It looks awful, weird, if you do this, because you will have like a curtain here, but underneath you will not find anything. It looks awkward, but c'est la vie. If you want to shave it or shorten it on the neck, no problem. Here, this is your beard. You cannot line it as some people do. This is the line. What's underneath your eyes is not part of your beard, and you can remove that. What about shaving the mustache? Totally prohibited. This is not from the Sunnah. The Sunnah is to trim it so that there is no surplus, no extra on your lip, but you do not shave it. You just trim it with the machine or whatever. And Allah knows best. Amira from the US.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salamtullah.
Yes, I have a question. I have two questions. The first one is, when it comes to husband and wife relationship, okay, I want to know if husband and wife didn't go into each other, they just play with each other, do they have to take a whistle? That's my first question.
If they do what?
If a husband and wife have a relationship,
Okay.
they didn't go into each other, they were just playing with each other. Do they have to take a whistle after that without going into each other?
Okay. Second question.
And the second question, yes, is if someone is pregnant, like maybe for like 4 months, is it okay for them to sit down to do the salah, or they only have to stand up for the fard and sit down for the sunnah?
Okay.
That's my question.
Any more questions?
Yes, no, that's it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I'll answer you, inshallah. Amira, or Amir, I forgot, had two questions. First of all, what obligates ghusl? Ghusl in Arabic means total bath that uplifts the major ritual impurity. What is the major ritual impurity? It's a state a person becomes in if he is a male or a female once they have intercourse or ejaculation. And if she's a female, once she's pure from her menses or postnatal bleeding, then she has to perform the ghusl to uplift her major ritual impurity, after purity that is. Now, our question is focused on the issue of intimacy. A couple, a man and his wife, they flirt with one another. They play with one another, but they don't have actual intercourse. They do not have the actual penetration. They're just kissing, hugging, etc. So, do they have to perform ghusl? The answer is no, because ghusl can be obligatory providing one of two takes place. Either the penetration, which is known as intercourse, or ejaculation of many, of semen. So if a person ejaculates, man or woman, while intimacy or alone or nocturnal emission or whatever, as long as there is ejaculation, ghusl becomes mandatory. He cannot pray, she cannot pray, or read or touch the Quran or read the Quran. They have to have their major ritual bath or ghusl. Other than that, the answer is no problem. So kissing and hugging without intercourse, without ejaculation does not require ghusl. However, if there resulted out of that prostatic fluid, which is natural, known as madhi, in this case, they have to wash the affected area and their private parts and to perform wudu, but not ghusl. And I hope this answers the question. Now, his second question was about a pregnant woman in her 3rd or 4th month of pregnancy. Can she pray sitting down? The answer is sitting down or standing up is not related to how many months you're pregnant in. Standing up for prayer of fard prayer is a pillar, which means that if you fail to do this while you're able to do it, your prayer is invalid. So standing up while able is a pillar of fard prayer. The Prophet said, "Salli qa'iman," as in the hadith of Imran ibn Husayn. You have to. Now, if a person is sick, injured, too tired to stand up, he has a legitimate excuse not to stand up. So even if she's 1 month or 2 months pregnant, but she's unable to stand up, she can't. In this case, there is no problem in sitting down and praying. But if she's able to stand, yet it's difficult to prostrate, then she has to stand up, do ruku', do rafa' from ruku', sit down for sujood. She doesn't have to perform the prostration as normal because she's too heavy or too tired or it's too painful. As for the voluntary prayers, even if you're well, you can pray sitting down. So it doesn't matter whether you're sick or not. Voluntary prayers can be performed while sitting down, because the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, the prayer of an individual sitting down is half the prayer of an individual praying standing up. So I hope this answers your question. We have a short break. Stay tuned, and inshallah, we'll be right back.
Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today I'm going to talk about the book Interactions of the Greatest Leader. Abu Hurairah, may Allah be pleased with him, said, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, no one's wealth helped me as much as the wealth of Abu Bakr helped me. After which Abu Bakr began to weep and say, and is my life and wealth for anything besides you, O Messenger of Allah? This narration shows the level of etiquette and humbleness that Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, had in the presence of the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. For he likened himself to a slave of the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam by saying that his wealth was only for the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as well as his soul and self. This comes as no surprise, for the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has more right on the believers than themselves. He, may Allah be pleased with him, spent his wealth in the cause of Allah, and he consoled the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam through his own self. So the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam recognized that for him and said, in order to build his stature and to remind the ummah of his virtues, no one's wealth helped me as much as the wealth of Abu Bakr helped me. Among the benefits of this narration, it is important to keep good manners and humbleness in the presence of the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Thanking someone who has bestowed some favor on you, as well as supplicating for them, is part of having good manners. Reported by Al-Bukhari, reported by Al-Tirmidhi and Ibn Majah. Albani ruled it authentic in his book Sahih Al-Jami', the explanation of As-Sindi on the book of Ibn Majah, and At-Taysir بشرح Al-Jami' Al-Saghir.
Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah and welcome back. Yumna says, in this age of online wallets, we are offered cashbacks on transactions made. Is that money halal that we obtain as cashback? First of all, this concept might be a little bit new for me, so I'll just give a general answer. And you may ask someone who knows specifically more in this than myself. Cashback is something that you get from your bank, from your credit card, or from a third-party application. So any cashback that I get from my bank account, this is riba. And we spoke about this before, because the money I deposit in my bank account, this is not for safekeeping. Otherwise, it would be prohibited for the bank to utilize this wealth, and they should put it in a deposit box that is untouchable. But this is not the case. They usually take whatever deposits they have and they deal with them. They lend them to people with interest, with riba. They do things, buy stocks or whatever, and trade on the stock market, etc. So whatever they give back to me, this is actually called riba. In a credit card, it's different because I'm actually borrowing from them. So, and I'm not going into whether credit card is halal or haram because we've spoken about this before, and you find so many links on my YouTube channel talking about this. But when I buy something worth 1,000 euros, the credit card company gets a percentage from the seller who sold the item to me. So they, after accumulating a number of transactions, as an incentive for me to utilize this because they're benefiting from the seller, though I'm paying on time and there is no riba in it, they give me cash back. And this cash back is halal because I have not lent them anything, rather I borrowed from them. So as if they are giving me a discount of what I've borrowed from, then there's no problem in that. The third option is to have a third party, which is an application. So an e-wallet or an online wallet usually is an application that they store my username, password, bank accounts, credit cards, etc. for safekeeping in a secure environment. So whenever I need to pay something, I use this app and the transaction happens flawlessly, hopefully, and nothing is wrong. The app is benefiting from the sellers, from the banks, from all parties. If I do not pay anything for this app, so there's no subscription fees, it's totally free and legit, and this app is independent from the banks that I have my bank account in. Rather, they benefit from the credit card or from the shops that I'm buying from, then inshallah the cash back is considered to be halal as well. And Allah knows best. A brother says, I have severe social and anxiety disorder which is affecting me in every walk of my life. I find it very difficult to meet and greet people. I can't introduce myself to anyone. I've met a psychologist, but all in vain. I get better when I do ruqya, but when I go to the situation which I fear, I lose all the gain and become depressed again. First of all, social anxiety is from shaitan. And Allah tells us in so many places in the Quran that all what shaitan wants is to intimidate us. As mentioned in chapter 3, إِنَّمَا ذَلِكُمُ الشَّيْطَانُ يُخَوِّفُ أَوْلِيَاءَهُ فَلَا تَخَافُوهُمْ وَخَافُونِ إِن كُنتُم مُؤْمِنِينَ. And also mentioned that the private talk between two in the presence of a third and no one is with us, this is called najwa. And this private talk is from shaitan to depress the third one who is not joining them, and he does not know whether they're plotting against him or they're just having random talk between them, which is private. So Allah tells us it is from the shaitan to depress and to sadden us. So this is what shaitan does. This is how he works. So you have to first of all acknowledge that this anxiety, this fear that you are suffering from is from shaitan. Once you know the source, then you can work on blocking it and fighting it. And as you have stated in your email, that when doing ruqya, you improve a lot, which means that the control of shaitan gets weaker and weaker with ruqya. So what to do? First of all, increase the ruqya times. So instead of doing it once in the afternoon, do it in the morning, do it in the noontime, in the afternoon, before sunset, at the evening, before going to bed. Do it extensively, because this helps you, inshallah, to get over what you're suffering from. 2, try to widen your circle of friends. So most people who suffer from this have only 1 or 2, maybe less, of friends that they talk to and feel free with. No, add a couple of more, add 5, 10 more. So the more you have new friends, the less your anxiety and your fear would be. And thirdly, if it is a problem of talking, then try to talk to yourself in the mirror so that you can see your facial expressions, your body language, and it may cause you to become impressed of the way you talk and behave, and you feel confident after a few hours of doing this to talk in public and to talk to the people, and finally make a lot of dua in your sujood, that, oh Allah, take the fear of people from my heart and place only your fear, the fear of from you, in my heart. I don't want to fear any human being, and inshallah this would add value to you bi'idhnillahi azza wa jal. Maryam says, is it from the sunnah to perform 2 units of prayer after which talbiyah is recited 3 times loud, signifying the entrance into ihram? Some of you may hear this and think this is a puzzle. What is it? I'll tell you. Ihram is a state, which means that I, with my intention, enter in order to perform umrah or to perform hajj. And how is this done? It is done by the sunnah, having a ritual bath, and then wearing, for a man, the 2 towels, the upper and the lower garment, and then make the intention in the heart that now I am in the state of ihram. The sunnah is to verbally say the talbiyah, labbaik Allahumma umrah. But this is not obligatory. This does not affect your ihram. So I said it now verbally. Does this mean that I'm a muhrim? No. Labbaik Allahumma umrah. No problem. It's just dhikr. The sunnah is to do this intention after a prayer. And when people read in the books of fiqh that the sunnah is to make your ihram after a prayer, they say, okay, we prayed Asr, and I did not make my ihram. I went back home, I took a shower, I wore my clothes for ihram. I'd like to make ihram. There is no sunnah after Asr. So what to do? Some people advise one another, pray two sunnah voluntary and make your ihram afterwards. Yes, but what is this two sunnahs? They say these two rak'ah sunnah of ihram. So they've invented a new prayer and called it Salatul Ihram or Rak'ata al-Ihram. And there is no such thing in Islam. So what to do? Well, simply, if you are leaving after Dhuhr, you wear your garments, don't make any intention, go to the masjid, pray Dhuhr, then pray Sunnah if you want to pray Sunnah. If you don't want to pray Sunnah, after Dhuhr prayer, say Labbaik Allahumma umrah. And intend with your heart that I'm in the state of Ihram. Now, Maryam said that we should recite this 3 times, Labbaik Allahumma umrah, loudly in order to signify the entrance in the state of Ihram, and this is an innovation. It's not part of the Sunnah. First of all, saying it is a Sunnah. So if I don't say it, no problem. Your Ihram is valid. Saying it 3 times definitely is out of the question because there's no hadith stating this. Saying it loudly is Sunnah so that you can hear yourself and maybe let others know about it. However, the state of Ihram is an intention. So I can have a shower, I can wear my garments of Ihram, and I look like a muhrim. But then I said, tell you what, I'll postpone it till next week. Take off my Ihram, wear my normal clothes, no problem. It's an intention. The moment I put the Ihram on does not mean I am a muhrim. The minute in my heart I said, okay, now I'm in the state of Ihram, which signifies that if someone comes and said, Sheikh, put some oud, some perfume. I said, nope, I'm in the state of Ihram. Why don't you clip your nails? I'm in the state of Ihram. Why don't you put a cap or something? I'm in the state of Ihram. These are all prohibited for a muhrim to do. In this case, yes, you are in the state of Ihram. So I hope this answers your question. Asif from Saudi. Asif bhai.
Yes, sir. I have one question.
Yes, sir.
It is regarding covering feet for women while prayer. Do they need to cover their feet while offering prayer or no? That is the question.
Okay. Any more questions? Hayyakallah. So, Brother Asif from Saudi Arabia is asking on or about the ruling of covering the feet for women when they're praying in their homes. It's an issue of dispute. Some scholars say that it was the norm for people, for women especially, to pray in their homes without covering their feet, and we don't have specifically an instruction to do so. And Sheikh Islam bin Taymiyyah, and I think Abu Hanifa also as well before him, say that this is permissible. However, the vast majority of scholars acknowledge the fact that a woman must cover her body except to her face and to her hands. That is it. Which means that even her feet must be covered. And this is the most authentic opinion. Whether in public or in the privacy of her home, she has to cover her feet. In public, if she adopts the opinion that obligates face covering, then she has to cover the face as well if there are non-mahram men looking. But when it comes to the feet, she has to cover them whether in public or in private. And covering them can be through wearing socks, and it also can be by wearing an outer garment that is so long that it covers her feet while in the standing position. The sole of her feet are exempted when she performs sujood, because this is something that cannot be covered with a long garment. Otherwise, it would be difficult for her to stand and to sit as well. And Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. Aisha says, can you please explain the hadith about why we should kill the house lizard? First of all, the house lizard, I think they call it salamander or something like that. I'm not sure. The house lizard is an insect that is harmful. Some of it cause a lot of diseases. And some say that it intends to walk over the food and the drinks and to poo, where it puts a lot of its illnesses and diseases in people's food. So in general, it is a dangerous creature that only brings harm to the people in general. And if you notice that anything that is harmful, Islam tells us to kill. So Islam tells us to kill a wild dog that bites and attacks people. It tells us to kill mice because they spread all types of diseases. Plague is one of they are most infamous for. And also they cause fire in houses, as in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, it tells us mice do heinous things, though people nowadays are so fond of them. We're told to kill the crows, a crow that also carries diseases and eats dead meat. We're ordered to kill snakes. We're ordered to kill scorpions. And these, by nature, are harmful for people. So killing them is justifiable and it's a legitimate thing to do. Likewise with the house lizards. And there is a hadith in Sahih al-Bukhari where the Prophet told us, alayhi salatu wasalam, that when Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him, was thrown by his people in the blazing fire, all the creatures of Allah used to try and put off the fire, with the exception of the house lizard. It used to try to blow so that the fire would grow. And this shows you that our relationship, not only with people, with everything else, is dependent on our belief in Allah Azza wa Jal and our allegiance to His religion and to the righteous and pious people of His followers and believers, etc. Hamza says, is it allowed to trade in Facebook stocks or Amazon or Alibaba when there is some haram on their websites? Some say that these companies do not sell the haram, rather the seller on such sites do. Those companies, or these companies I mentioned, just provide the platform for anyone to sell. They have sugar in the tea. I hope I don't faint. Well, this is beside the point. What is the meaning of stocks or shares? This is a company, and the whole company is either owned by shareholders or it's privately owned by a person who has the majority of the shares. So when I buy the stocks of a particular company, I become a partner. Now, though I'm not running the company, I'm not in the board of directors, I'm not managing it, yet I'm a part owner of that company. Even if it's 0.00001%. Still, the money I've invested makes me a partner. This means that I am accountable for my investment, depending on the line of work of this particular company. Amazon, well, Facebook, to begin with, is a company that is dubious, that has so many bad things in their portfolio, such as spying, collecting data, leaking, influencing opinions, blocking those who defend freedom or something that is good, and opening the floor for someone who is corrupt and evil, like Twitter, but this is beside the point. Amazon and Alibaba are the same. They tend to control the market by selling cheaper than the dealers and cheaper than the shops, because they don't have any capital ongoing. Yet they may sell alcohol, entertainment, haram things that are obvious. So you're a partner in this. Not only that, these companies, like most kafir companies, and also unfortunately like a lot of Muslim companies, they finance their projects and work through banks and loans based on riba. Or they put their savings in time deposit, fixed deposit boxes, or they put it and charge interest from banks or from other companies. And this is why if you go to their financial statement, you'll find a lot of riba coming in and going out. So this means that you, as an investor, is part of that. And therefore, a proper Muslim does not risk his income to be tarnished with anything that is haram like this, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. Arman, she says, I'm asking this after reading a few questions on your site regarding praying and moving about among non-mahram in the local women's dress of salwar kameez with long, broad shawl that is waist length outer garment. Even if these are colorful, they can be stitched in a very loose fashion to hide the curves and bone structure, as many women choose to do. So in this case, is it permissible to pray and go out of these and go out in these clothes? First of all, a woman is ordered to cover herself properly. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wassalam, لا يحل لحائض أن تصلي بدون خمار. A woman who reaches the age of puberty must not pray without a khimar. And the khimar comes from the word khamr, which is to cover. So it has to cover. Also Allah says in verse 59, chapter 33, O Prophet of Allah, instruct your wives, your daughters, and the women, Muslim women, to lower their jilbab. So they have to lower their jilbab, which is an outer garment that goes on top of their head, covering them properly. This, and among other evidences, made the scholars look into the proper attire of women. And among the things that they say, that it has to be ample, loose, thick, not see-through, and it has to cover her curves. Because the Prophet ﷺ also indicated that covering the bone structure of a woman is essential when he gave a garment to one of the companions, and he said that I gave her to my wife, and he said, how do you do this? This does not conceal her bone structure and her curves. From these evidences, Scholars say that she has to wear an outer garment. We call it abaya here in Saudi Arabia and elsewhere in the GCC, etc. You can call it jilbab, that goes from the shoulders, preferably from the head, downwards and cover the whole body. This is the perfect thing. But if the sirwal kameez you're talking about is loose, and I cannot imagine this. I know what the women in Pakistan and in India wear, and I see them, even if it's loose, the material it's made of is so thin, you can tell. And the vast majority of women who wear this, they wear it and the waist is tight, and you can see the size of the waist and the hips. And this is definitely not correct or valid. So if you, as you claim, it is so loose and it's so wide that it conceals a woman's bone structure and curves, and you cannot see anything as if she's wearing abaya, this is permissible, inshallah, though I doubt it. Alia says, if my mother breastfed 5 times a baby boy under the age of 2 years, along with me, does he become mahram? Well, it doesn't matter whether he was breastfed with you or without you. As long as a woman has breastfed a boy under the age of 2 years, and she breasts him 5 meals or more, immediately he becomes her son. So the daughters before him and after him are his sisters. Likewise, the children of this woman's children, so her grandchildren, daughters and sons, they also are considered to be the nephews and the nieces of that boy or girl, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. We have 1 minute, inshallah, wrap this up. Yusuf says that he received an email from a well-known company for registering himself in an annual sweepstake, a lucky draw contest that it holds every year. Now he does not have to pay any money to it. All what he has to do is just send them an email, register his name. If he were to win anything as a prize, is this halal? The answer is yes. If the line of work of company is halal, they're selling commodities, furniture, etc., and you don't subscribe, you don't pay anything in return, you just simply register your name and you get a gift out of that, this is permissible and there's nothing wrong in that, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. This is all the time we have. Until we meet next time, fi amanillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
A is for Allah, nothing but Allah. Ba is the beginning of Bismillah. Ta is for taqwa, bewaring of Allah. And Tha is for thawab, a reward. Ja is for Jannah, the garden of paradise. Ha is for Hajj, the blessed pilgrimage. Kha is for Khatam, the seal of the prophethood given to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.